Mortgage rates are all over the place right now. Some lenders cutting, others are hiking, and inflation has just jumped to an 18-month high. So the big question is, are we heading for cheaper mortgages or are we about to see another squeeze? In this week's update, Principality, Barclays, Leeds and Clydesdale have all made fresh rate moves. Some good, some painful. There's a controversial new plan from Rachel Reeves that could shake up stamp duty and even council tax. Inflation is surging again, house prices are still rising, and there's even talk of a new mansion tax. Stick with me because the details here really matter if you're buying, remortgaging, or investing. So let's start with the lenders. This week, Principality have taken a split approach. Cuts at lower loan-to-value levels, but hikes at 95%. That's a big warning sign for first-time buyers and those with small deposits, because higher risk lending is getting more expensive. Barclays have trimmed some of their lower loan-to-value rates, which is good news if you've got a chunky deposit or a good amount of equity. Leeds Building Society are cutting rates by up to 0.2%, and Clydesdale, well, they've made the boldest move this week, slashing some 2- and 5-year fixed rates by as much as 0.51%. But again, at 90% loan-to-value, they've gone the other way, and rates there have increased. Santander and Birmingham Midshires, however, are a little bit more mixed, with Santander increasing some home mover and remortgage rates. So overall, the market's telling us that lower risk borrowers are still being rewarded, but higher loan-to-value lending is being priced up. What do you think? Is this fair play by lenders protecting risk, or does this just punish first-time buyers and those with lower deposits further? Now, there weren't many criteria tweaks from lenders this week, but there were some big rumours about policy from the government. Rachel Reeves is considering a radical property tax shake-up. The idea? Scrap stamp duty altogether on purchases and instead tax higher value homes when they are sold. It's said to be targeting properties above £500,000 alongside a review of council tax, potentially replacing it with a new local property tax based upon today's property values. Now, I was quoted in both the Daily Mail and the Daily Express this week with my views on this. And my thinking is clear. Tinkering with stamp duty, in my opinion, is way too risky. On the surface, scrapping stamp duty sounds like a good idea. I mean, it was introduced in the 1600s to help fund the war against France, so to be fair, it is a little bit outdated, but tinkering with stamp duty could impact people longer term. It could discourage them from downsizing and actually slow the market down, resulting in less income for the government. Personally, I prefer to see people that are downsizing exempt from stamp duty or pay a significantly reduced amount of stamp duty to free up bigger family homes for people that need more room and that want to move up the housing ladder. But I'd like to know what you think. Is this proposed change a bold move, or is it just disguised as another government cash grab? Now, moving on to the wider economic headlines, and I've got to be honest, they're not pretty. Inflation has rocketed to 3.8%. That's the highest it's been in 18 months, and it's nearly double the Bank of England's target. The headlines are blaming transport and food, but please do not be fooled by the gaslighting from the Office for National Statistics and the government. It's government policy that is driving these increases and this increased inflation. Increases to the minimum wage and national insurance have significantly pushed up business costs, which, as we all know, eventually hits you and me, the consumers. News in on house prices and land registry data shows that the average UK home is now worth £269,000. That's up 3.7% year on year. Breaking it down regionally, England saw an increase of plus 3.3%, Wales plus 2.6%, and Scotland plus 5.9%. So in Scotland, you're seeing the best increases in property values. Private rents are up 5.9% annually, and they're now averaging £1,343. That's actually down from 6.7% last month, suggesting now that landlords have mostly adjusted to the new higher rate environment in which we find ourselves. So the rent increases because of higher mortgage payments are finally starting to ease. And finally, there is another potential tax grab being floated by the Treasury and Rachel Reeves. This one is a mansion tax. Under the plans, properties worth above 1.5 million could face potential capital gains tax when sold. Rumours are it will be 24% for higher rate taxpayers and 18% for basic rate taxpayers. Now that is a huge shift and it's a big change because at the moment, the sale of your residential home is exempt from capital gain. So again, I'll ask the question, Do you think this is a good move, or do you think this could cool the prime property market? And in reality, is this just another stealth tax in disguise to raise cash? So, where does this all leave us this week? Well, the rate cuts at the lower end show that there is still competition in the mortgage market, but lenders putting up the rates on higher loan to value deal shows that they're nervous about affordability and risk on property values. Combine that with rising inflation, and the Bank of England might be forced to rethink rate cuts later this year. In other words, if you're sitting on the fence about fixing your mortgage now, the window for cheaper deals is probably not going to be around for very much longer. That said, if inflation eases again, which I have to say is unlikely because it is expected to increase further as we go further through the year, but if it did ease, we might see further cuts from the Bank of England. It's really all a big balancing act, and in all honesty, I wouldn't want to be one of the people on the Monetary Policy Committee making decisions. As for policy, Rachel Reeves' plans might sound great for first-time buyers, but I think that they risk destabilising the housing ladder. Personally, I'd rather see the focus on building more affordable homes and removing barriers for people that want to move home, especially those that are downsizing. Tinkering with tax does not solve the root problem. So, to sum up, lenders are rewarding low-risk borrowers, but squeezing rates at higher loan-to-value levels. Inflation is climbing again, raising questions about those future rate cuts. And the government, well, they're floating some pretty bold and controversial tax ideas that could reshape the property market. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Should stamp duty be scrapped and replaced with a new tax? Are you locking in your mortgage right now, or are you holding out for lower rate? And do you think a mansion tax would help or hurt the housing market? There's lots of stuff to talk about this week, so please drop your thoughts in the comments below. I always reply to as many as I can, and just for your information, any relevant links and articles, I will put links to them in the comments below as well, so that if you want to, you're more than welcome to go and take a look at them. Now, if you found this update useful, please give it a like, hit subscribe, and share it with anyone that you know that might find it useful or that's keeping their eye on the UK mortgage market. I'll be back next Friday with another update. So until then, thanks for watching and take care.